Summer is heating up, as we know, not only in temperatures, although relatively cool for end of May, but in the real estate market, it is really getting hot. Like we talked about in the first segment, Freddie Mac has changed their position on the forecast for the housing market, saying now, although they said it's been behind most of the year, it's now forecasted to be the best year in housing for the last decade. So here to talk about the pros and cons of yet another summer of a hot real estate market. What does that mean for buyers and sellers? Broker owner of Gillian Cunningham Realty, Miss Gillian Cunningham. Gillian, thanks for being here.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to get into some of the topics today. I know it's really important for our listeners because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of challenges with a hot market, although the value is there. It's worth it to fight, but it is a fight. So I want to bring in also our good friend and show contributor, Gabe Abshire, back to the show, owner of Utility Concierge, to talk about from a service perspective and some of the stress that they have, how that can be relieved with some of their services. So Gabe, thanks for being with us, man.
Pleasure to be here. It's been a while. It's good to be back home.
I'm glad. Thanks for dressing up today.
No problem.
Board shorts, and a tank top. This is radio, so it's fine. It's good.
You do have the face for it.
Hey, oh, jeez. That joke is so old. I think it gets automatically muted out. No one will even hear what you said.
No.
So, Gillian, first, real quick, I always like to get a little background. So how long have you been in real estate?
I've had my license for 15 years now.
Okay, so you've been this through the financial crisis.
I did.
You have been a warrior. You survived the tumult.
Yes, indeed.
You're not one of these part-time fly-by-night realtors that, let's face it, come in to sell a home because they know a friend or whatever and everything goes wrong.
No, I'm not here for the quick money. I'm here for the long haul.
That's fantastic. What got you excited about real estate? What made you get into it?
Well, I actually got into real estate. I was looking to purchase some investment properties back in the early 2000s. And at that time, I was in corporate America looking to purchase brand new spec homes.
Yeah.
These houses were ones that we met someone who was a real estate broker and a mortgage broker. Yeah. And we found that she took advantage of us. And for that reason, I decided that I wanted to get into real estate to really help educate and empower people when it came to real estate.
I love when people get involved in any kind of industry because they had a bad experience. And like, you know what? We're going to do this better. So,
yes, indeed. And so, I got my license, continued in corporate America for about 3 years. And then when it was time for me to get my brokers, I got my brokers. Then I went out and started my own real estate boutique company. Did that for about 4.5 years. And then after that, when the economy tanked, I ended up going over to a larger franchise, did that for a couple of years, and just last year decided to go back out and relaunch my own company, and hence Gillian Cunningham Realty Group.
Love it. Well, it's great. You're doing some great things, and of course, we know some mutual friends and that talk very, very highly of you, not only in our circle, but in the marketplace. So we're excited to have you here. I want to jump into some of the material, right? Now, I know you sell real estate all over, but I really want to focus on some of your specialty areas, Collin County, Frisco, Plano, McKinney, all of that, okay?
Yes.
So let's talk about those markets, because it is, although similarly across DFW, there are different submarkets and there's different challenges with each, right?
Yes, indeed.
So what are you seeing out there? What has been the trend just this year so far, and what do you expect to happen going into the summer?
I can say to you that I tell my clients, if you're purchasing a home under $400,000, you can expect to experience a seller's market. And what that means is that we've got a shortage of houses on the market. And when we have a shortage, that means that buyers are going to experience competition, and they're going to have to bid for properties. And typically, of course, they're going to have to pay more for the property than what it's listed for. What I've seen out there is I put a property on the market in Frisco and listed it at what I considered the stretch goal.
Right.
And the sellers, of course, always want to go with the stretch. They don't want to go with the regular price, but we went with the stretch, and we ended up receiving $30,000 above the list price.
Wow.
We had over 30 showings in the weekend that we put the house on the market, and this is in Frisco.
Yep.
And 8 offers, 2 cash offers, one of them over $30,000. The next cash offer was over $20,000. So that's what we're experiencing in Frisco. I also put up a property on the market in Carrollton. And Carrollton, we put it on the market on a Friday, which is a strategy so that we can do all the showings over the weekend. And I tell my clients all the time, when we put a property on the market, just go to the movies, just hang out all day. If you have dogs, board your dogs for the weekend because you're not going to be able to be back at the house. We put this property on the market, and we received $20,000 over the list price.
What price points were these at?
Okay. The property in Frisco was at $295,000, and the property in Carrollton was at $319,000. Then we have down off of Frankfurt and Preston, In the Dallas area, $460. We received over $10,000. It was $470 on that property.
So you're looking at between 5 and 10% over the list price being bid for these properties. You're listening to the Tuttle Group Real Estate Hour here on 660 AM. The Answer. You remember, if you have questions for any of our guests, you can call or text 469-319-0660. Gillian, so let's talk about the next piece of that, because a lot of, in the market like this, where we've got overbidding of properties and we got sellers going, well, it's seller's market, I want to list everything at the stretch goal. Plus, they think their house is worth more than it is anyway.
Always, always.
Always, always. Our stretch goal is their bottom line price. And when that happens and you get bids over list price, what kind of appraisal challenges do you see out there?
There are challenges. But one of the things that we do is we feel that if, as a real estate agent, what I do is if a property at least appraises for the list price, but not the offer price, which is typically above the list price, then we have this, the buyers have to write an email or an addendum that says, as long as it appraises for the list price, they will pay the difference, because typically the lenders are not going to finance anything above what it appraises for.
That's correct. It's always the sales price or the appraised value, whichever is less.
Right. And so we again have their agents send us an email to say that, yes, they agree to pay the difference if the property doesn't appraise.
Right. That's a big deal. So you're looking at that now. So if you want to find out what happens now, if you are a buyer and you're a little concerned for that, you bid over property because maybe they said, look, this thing's going to appraise for more than list anyway, or whatever. There are clauses, and we see this a lot. Well, they'll say, okay, they'll bid this price up to $10,000 over the appraised value.
Yes.
Right.
I have seen that, but one of the challenges there is that they may say up to $10,000, but they've offered $20,000 or $30,000 over. And so to me, as a representing the seller, I go to my sellers and say, hey, their offer really isn't legit.
Right.
I also have to call all of their 8 loan officers to find out, do they actually have the funds to be able to make up the difference if the property doesn't appraise?
That's right. We actually we've had several clients come in and say, hey, so since I'm pre-approved, let's say it's a $300,000 purchase, but they're approved for $350,000. They go and they're like, okay, I'm going to bid over this property so we can just use that extra money since I'm pre-approved for $350,000. And it's like, oh, no.
There's a thing called appraisal.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way that works.
You're approved based on the collateral of the property. Yeah. So you're approved up to $350,000 if you find a house that appraises for $350,000.
Very much so.
You can't just use the extra money and use cash down. So that is a mistake. You need to have the funds available to bid over the list price.
That is correct. Like you say, if a person gets approved for $350,000, but they only have the down payment and their closing costs, they may want to back off of what they decide to go out and look for a property price-wise, because they need to know, first of all, they're probably going to have to submit a offer over the asking price. Right. But in addition to that, they've got to be able to pay that difference if it doesn't appraise.
That's right. Now, guys, remember, this is worth it. What we've seen the last couple of years is a lot of trepidation, like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to do that. The house isn't going to be worth it. And then it appraises and you're like, I'm bidding over the property. But now you look at them this year, average appreciation in many pockets of DFW, according to the national statistics, is about 8%. Projected to be 7 to 8% again this year. So on that $300,000 property in 12 months, it's going to be worth $326,000, $324,000. So you know what I mean? You're in the game if you really want the house now. And here's the thing: remember, rates were lower last year than they were this year, and we told you that they were in the low to mid 3s. Now they're in the low 4s. Next year they're going to be in the low 5s. That is always going to reduce your buying power. So the sooner you can buy, you're going to get that appreciation. Plus, you're going to be able to afford more house. So yes, it's a fight, but it's a fight that's worth getting.
Yeah. What's the we talked about the business aspect of it. What's the emotional aspect of that? Like for a seller getting multiple 25, 30 offers on a house in a weekend and having to sort through them.
It can be quite a little stressful for them because, of course, they want to go with the highest offer, and the highest offer is not always the best offer. There's other terms that they have to consider. How soon can they close? How long do they want their option period to be? What are they asking the seller to pay for? Because typically before the seller's market, most sellers would typically pay for the title policy. And in this seller's market, now you have buyers opting to pay for the title policy instead of the seller paying for it, as well as a residential service contract, which covers if anything breaks down in the first year. Buyers are paying for all that themselves now instead of the seller because they're trying to make their offer look that much sweeter to the seller. So what I've done for my sellers is I typically create like a spreadsheet. And we put all the names on there, and we put, who their lender is, how much they're putting down, how long is their option period, how long, are they looking to take to close, things of that nature. And we can look at the numbers, we can net it out. But in addition to that, you often have people who want to submit bios of their buyers. And so to try to humanize, and I encourage that. Not all sellers want to consider that, but I do encourage it, because sometimes you may have a seller who says, well, this family, they've got young children. We were like that before, and we'd like to have someone like that in our house. And so they sometimes will take that into consideration, but then they just try to net it out as far as what they're going to earn.
Bringing the emotion back into the business. I like that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's cool.
Really important, too. It really helps. You got to listen to a good professional like Gillian, your part-time agent from Wyoming, Aunt Jude, that has done a loan side of a real estate 10 years ago. She's not going to know that. But Gillian does. That's why you deal with professionals. Speaking of dealing with a professional, what is one last piece of professional advice you would give to buyers trying to get into this market?
I would say, first of all, a lot of buyers don't realize that they don't need 20% to put down. And so that there are a lot of different financing options out there. So I would tell buyers to definitely contact a loan officer to get pre-approved for financing, find out exactly where they stand.
Where could you find a good one of those, I wonder?
I don't know. Hey, call me. I'll find you one for you.
So yes, they definitely need to contact you, Andy.
There you go.
Now, that's what you call fishing. Got it.
Right. But they definitely need to do that. And then always hire a real estate agent, someone who works in this industry on a full-time basis, not those part-time fly-by-night agents. Get someone full-time and hire someone to go out and research the market for you to get the best deal for you.
That's right. And have realistic expectations. But Gillian, you're totally right. Get the pre-approval up front. So many people miss out on the home of their dreams because they have some meaningless pre-approval from some internet lender somewhere, and they go out there to make an offer, and the listing agent, Gillian, goes, no.
Exactly.
I know that game.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how much you're bidding over.
Right.
So you got to get with a reputable lender, somebody local. Yes, if you're not happy with your lender, we want to be that for you. We want to do it the right way. We want to earn your business by educating you and bringing on professionals that can give you value, and of course, giving you competitive terms and giving you a great experience. So, Gillian, thank you so much for the great tips today.
Sure thing.
If you want to reach out to Gillian, you can do two things. One, you can call our main number or text 469-319-0660, and we'll get you connected. You can go to our website, a social, we'll have all the links there, or you can go to our own website.
And that's GillianCunningham.com, and that's Gillian with a G, or you can follow me on social media at Ask Gillian Cunningham.
All right, I love it. Coming up, we are going to get with a company that is Uberizing the repair industry. You got to hear this. Stick around.